Well, welcome to Believers in Business here on AM 630 KSLR. And every week on this program, we learn about businesses in San Antonio that are doing great things, have a service or product that we think that you might be able to use. And oh yeah, one more thing, we have something in common when it comes to our faith. My name is Baron Wiley, and I'm happy to welcome back to Believers in Business the owner and founder of Reader Consulting, College and Career Guidance, as seen at readerconsulting.com. It's Dana Reader. Welcome back, Dana. God bless you.
Thank you.
How have you been? I see you once a month. You come in here every month.
Yes.
How's the school year is on and going?
It is in full swing.
Yes, it is.
Yes.
Well, we're doing a series right now with you. We're kind of going through this from the beginning to end, if you will, obviously. Now, the big picture for Reader Consulting, College and Career Guidance in this radio series is how to find your passion and purpose.
Yes.
So tell us from A to Z again what you do and why you do it.
Sure. So I work with individuals who, around the 8th grade year, as they're trying to figure out what their life path is going to be through aptitude, interest, and personality assessments.
Very good. You've been doing it for a while.
I have, yes.
And you have a long history of getting you to today.
Yes.
It's kind of teed you up for the season in your life.
Absolutely. I actually started working at a university when I was 21 years old, doing leadership development, student development. It's always been a huge passion of mine, which is what led me to get my master's in guidance and counseling. So, yes.
Well, congratulations to you again, and I think God's really appointed you for this time because you're helping families and kids get on the right road.
That is my goal.
Well, God bless you again here. So let's reset. You are in the business of helping families with that middle schooler. I guess is a good time to start thinking about the future. Mm-hmm. That high school student, and you're actually even helping adults, as we've talked about before.
Right.
You call it Proceed with Confidence on their professional path. So, Dana Reader, we started with the first podcast as a focus on those middle school years. Mm-hmm. Then last time we talked about the freshman frenzy. So today we graduate to the sophomore class, where things start to actually kind of get serious for that high schooler when it comes to choosing what courses they take and how they invest their time. And boy, it's just a new world with the pressure.
It is. And, I tell families, I think the sophomore year is really the ideal time to begin the aptitude assessments.
Okay.
The earlier ages, it's perfect for interest because aptitudes don't stabilize until 14 and 50. It's actually, or 15. It's actually puberty based. So we need to get them a little bit older so their aptitudes aren't going to change after that time frame. I think it's also an important time because it really makes them commit to their endorsements in high school. So they really have clarity of, okay, this is how I'm built. This is what makes sense for me. And we move forward with that. I can tell you the power of aptitudes. I obviously learned and studied about them in my master's program back in the 90s.
And you remember everything?
With age, some things slip, but it was something I always was intrigued with. And when we moved back here, about 4 years ago from Dusseldorf, Germany, it was the first time my daughter had actually gone to a public school. Not that we didn't have anything against public schools. We were a military family moving all over, and our options were DODs or international schools. And so she got there at near the end of her 8th grade year, and the counselor, she hadn't even started school. It was a prepare to go to high school night, and the counselors, rightfully so, came out and said, okay, everybody, you really need to figure out what you want to be when you grow up. Because once you get into high school, you really have to have that set. Well, of course, she looks at me, not even knowing where our house is. Right. I don't even know that she had been to our home yet. And I said, it's okay. You're in 8th grade. We have plenty of time. Yeah. So about her sophomore year, she still couldn't let it go. Every student was saying that they knew what they wanted to do. They knew where they were going to go. She didn't know where UT was or A&M. She had no allegiance to anything. And finally I said, okay, enough is enough. And we actually took her up to Dallas. There's a very well-known aptitude company up there to the tune of $1,000 we paid, as well as the trip. And I saw her walk out of there with incredible calm and clarity and perspective. Now, I knew what her gifts were, but to have a third party talk about that with her, I thought was really powerful. And so when I started my company, I recognized that was not happening in San Antonio. And I also didn't feel like that it should be something that only people who have the means should be entitled to. So that's why when I created my company, I really made a point to price it where it was very possible for everybody.
And $1,000 is pretty steep, but you also had hotel and gas and time and again, all the travel expenses there.
Exactly. And what's great is for my clients, they take it online at home. So there is no traveling. And even my clients, I have them from California to New York because we can do it by Skype when we sit down and to go through the results. So it's really unique and it's attainable for anyone who's out there needing it.
Would it be fair for me to suggest that your services are half that price or less than half?
Yes, absolutely.
Well, then there you go.
Right.
Well, here's what you need to do. You need to go to readerconsulting.com. The website is readerconsulting.com. Reader is R-E-E-D-E-R, readerconsulting.com. Or give Dana a call. Dana, what's your number?
210-646-4524.
That's it, 210-646-4524. Make an appointment with that middle schooler, that freshman, that sophomore, that junior, or maybe even that senior citizen.
Yes.
Because, again, you help people of all ages figure out. Tell me the story you were telling me earlier about the man who changed his career there.
So I was at an event, I guess a couple of weeks ago, and I was talking about what I did. And afterwards, he came up and he pulled up a chair and he put his knees knee to knee with me and looked at me with such intense eyes. And he said, I always wanted to be a mechanic. Always growing up, I wanted to be a mechanic. He said, I'm an attorney. And I said, okay. And he said, but you know what? All these years later, he said, I created my own company where I'm a mechanic. And he said, I just want you to know that what you're doing truly matters. And I was like, thank God. That is all I want. I just want people to recognize that the only intention I have is to help young adults or individuals who are in a midlife crisis or trying to, now find what fulfills them, not, what they had to do when that time was there to pick a career at a younger age. That's my only goal.
Very good. All right. Well, so when someone calls you, so you can help them out with their college and career planning there and your guidance and services that you offer at Reader Consulting there. Talk about what you measure. What are the tests and the aptitude testing that you offer?
Well, a lot of people are like, well, what are aptitude tests?
Yeah.
What do they measure? And there's many. There's spatial reasoning, and that's really how the brain mentally visualizes two-dimensional objects into three. It's kind of like the Rubik's Cube.
Okay.
And it's funny because I was meeting with a family once, and I was explaining this to talk about the parents, young adults area, and the father actually pulled out a Rubik's Cube from his briefcase. I just thought that was just hilarious that, he had it in there to...
Always got to have your Rubik's Cube.
Exactly, right?
Nerd.
And then sequential reasoning, the way they mentally organized ideas and information. Idea generation is really important. How easily can someone brainstorm quality ideas?
Can you give me a sample question on that one?
Oh, my gosh. Well, I can tell...
Are you allowed to?
Well, as far as how I can explain it best is I really fall into that category.
Yeah.
I have a million ideas.
Yeah.
My brain never stops.
I'm that guy.
Yes. And I will even wake up in the middle of the night, like 2 or 3 is really my most perfect time, and I will have solved a problem that I've been trying to figure out. Or I'll say to my husband in the morning, so I was thinking. And he always laughs. He's like, here we go again. So what's important about that as far as an aptitude goes is that you need to be in a career that really embraces that, marketing, event planning, things where you're constantly having to come up with new ideas. Because if you're not, you're going to be very frustrated if you're not able to get all of those ideas out.
Very cool.
Numeric reasoning, how quickly and automatically you can see patterns within numbers. So it's just... again, how your brain works and in those work environments, that's just going to be a natural fit for what makes you tick.
What would be a good career for someone that aces that aptitude test?
Well, and there's not really, a lot of people ask that. Okay. So, are you getting all A's or where do you fall? Aptitudes, there's no right or wrong.
Right.
So it's really dealing with each individual, where they are,
Gotcha.
and there's careers for every person, no matter whether you're an idea generator or not. So my goal is to just say, okay, here's how you fall into each of these aptitudes, but then here are careers that those aptitudes are perfect because that's what makes that career successful.
And sometimes I would imagine that some of these careers don't even exist yet. Is that fair to say?
Well, they talk a lot about that in the career development world, yes.
Yeah.
And so the critical thinking, collaboration, those are all skills that, even people talk about in college. It's like, well, you don't remember what you learned in your classroom. It was all the life skills that prepared you to have a good work ethic and contribute to teams. And that's where I think all this really falls into play. I think the more you know about who you are and how you tick and what makes sense for you, the better it is. I will even tell you, there's a part that comes out in the aptitude is whether a person is a generalist or a specialist. And a specialist makes up only 7% of the population. And so when I have clients that come in and they are a specialist, what I tell them and their families is that that young adult is probably going to want more and more learning, whether that's an advanced degree or certifications. For the parents, you need to know that when you're kind of considering your college costs, because it's probably not just going to be a bachelor's degree. It's probably going to be a master's and potentially a PhD or an MD. So for the young adult, it also helps them to know, okay, I want people coming to me as the expert and saying, hey, what do you think about this? So you become the specialist in your field, and it's really important because if you're in a work environment where you're not recognized and people don't come to you, you're not going to be happy.
Ladies and gentlemen, I would highly recommend you talk to the expert. I'm talking to Dana Reeder here with Reeder Consulting, College and Career Guidance there. You do such amazing work. You're helping families, and we bless you. We say thank you for being a believer in business. Hard to believe we're out of time, Dana.
Wow.
Here's what you do. You call this number. It's 210-646-4524, 210-646-4524. Do they come to your office ever?
Oh, absolutely. Yes,
Okay.
we sit down, unless they're by Skype. But yes, we sit down and...
You're on Bandera Road in Helotes, right?
I am. Mm-hmm.
And again, on the web at readerconsulting.com. And again, I say thank you so much, Dana Reeder. We'll do this again.
Thank you so much.
Catch the podcast of this whole series at KSLR.com on our podcast page. And, of course, visit Dana Reeder at readerconsulting.com. Thank you, Dana.
Thank you.
And thank you for listening to AM 630 KSLR.